Iran is ratcheting up their rhetoric yet again, and this time they are calling out our new commander-in-chief. Iran's supreme leader saying that President Obama is following the same wrong path as President Bush, and he's defending state-sponsored terrorism targeting Israel, which Khomeini describes as a, quote, cancerous tumor. Joining us now to tell us more about this, John Bolton, former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, also a Fox News contributor. Ambassador Bolton, thanks for joining us today.
Glad to be here.
Let's talk a little bit about this shift. They've talked so much about destroying Israel. Now they're talking directly at President Obama. He had hoped to sit down and speak with these folks. It's not looking like he'll have that opportunity now, is it?
Well, it's another illusion popped about what you can do with offering negotiations. I think what's particularly significant here is this is the Ayatollah Khamenei, the supreme spiritual leader of Iran. Many people, including people in the Obama administration, had been saying for some time that when President Ahmadinejad says these things, he's just a small functionary in the government. This is the top spiritual leader, and so I think it shows just how strong this feeling is inside Iran and how it's not susceptible to blandishments and negotiation.
If we can't have direct negotiations, let's say, with Iran, can we go about this by talking to Russia, who we know has put so much of their support and financing behind Iran's nuclear program?
Right. I wouldn't discount the possibility that Iran will agree to direct negotiations. It benefits them a lot more than it does us. It buys them time. It gives them legitimacy. And if they hold out long enough, the Obama administration will be so grateful that they've been thrown a bone that they might make additional concessions. The Russians, I think, have already essentially rejected the analysis that President Obama gave them recently to try and trade off missile defense for help with the Iranian nuclear program. And the Russians did it in a very interesting way. They pocketed the concession that the president made on missile defense and then said, we're not going to link it to Iran. So they've already outmaneuvered the president in just the opening minutes of this exchange, in effect.
And President Obama has clarified what was in that letter that was delivered to Russia at this point. So are we at a point where we know that the activities are going on, the centrifuges are accumulating? Are we at a point now where we have to accept the fact that we may be dealing with a nuclear-armed Iran and that weapons may be produced in the short term?
I'm very much afraid that we are. I think we've lost the race with Iran. They have all the science and technology they need now to create a nuclear weapon. It's really entirely within their discretion when they decide to do that. I think 5.5 years of European diplomacy have clearly failed, and we're really behind the curve without very many attractive options. And I think that's going to be a real problem for President Obama once a new Israeli government is put in place after their coalition negotiations, if they decide to take military action in the near future.
Before we go, is there anything the United Nations can do? I was reading that the IAEA is having a difficult time still examining what is going on in Iran, and one of the reactors that they have, the water reactors, now has a roof on it. Satellite imagery can't even provide pictures. So what is next for the United Nations?
Well, I think the IAEA is being continually outfoxed by the Iranians. The IAEA knows certain things, many things it doesn't know. I don't see any real chance of the IAEA taking any effective steps, and I frankly don't see the Security Council taking any further steps. I don't think the Russians will allow more sanctions. That's already been clear. So, as I say, I think we're down to some very limited and unattractive options, but the most unattractive option is leaving Iran to have nuclear weapons.
Ambassador Bolton, thank you so much.
Thank you.